All right, let's stay with fitness-related news. A new publication out of the Media 24 stable called Lose It that preaches the gospel of the Tim Noakes diet. It's just been released. Noakes, a respected sports scientist, believes in a low-carb, high-fat eating plan. Experienced editor Susie Brokenshire sits at the helm of the new publication. I'm told it's going to be released on a quarterly basis. And we all know them, the crazy CrossFit people, as they're now referred to. The fitness craze has taken South Africa and the world by storm and is inspiring people, and this is good news, to get up and moving. Well, a new publication specifically aimed at the CrossFit community has just been released. It's called The Box, and its publisher Seraj Toefy joins us now on Mags on Media. Welcome, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, the nature and the origin of this. And I want to know, is this a sport or pastime?
It's actually both, because you know, it's taking fitness to a different level. I mean, it culminates in the World CrossFit Games, which happens in July out in the United States. But besides that, it's actually just a fitness regime. It's a community. It's a pastime. It's a passion. It's really all of those things. And the community, as you said, is absolutely booming.
Well, I mean, what exactly are they doing? I mean, I'm paging through this, and it just terrifies me with some of the activities that people are actually engaging in. I see lots of barbells.
Yeah. Well, look. What it really is it's high intensity, varied activity, and it's functional. The whole thing is it's functional activity. It's never really on a machine that kind of is whether it's a treadmill or not. It's trying to keep it varied. So if you go to, firstly, CrossFit is always done in a class with more than one person. You don't do it on your own, and every single day it's different. Every single workout, your trainer, your coach will prepare something that is exclusively for that day, and it's called a WOD, a workout of the day.
Now, Seraj, someone once told me that the secret of a successful magazine is to find the gap in the gap or the niche in the niche. Why does this particular activity need its own magazine?
The thing is, it's a passion. That's the one thing. You mentioned it, the CrossFit crazy community. The guys are out there. They're passionate about it. There isn't the type of information locally. There hasn't been up to now a publication that is rewarding the superstars of the CrossFit community. And it's grown from, in 2000, it launched overseas. A gentleman by the name of Greg Glassman, he came up with this. He was a gymnast, and then he added weight training, he added other high-end endurance sports. And in South Africa, the first box, by the way, the reason why it's called The Box is...
My next question, I presume this is the place where the pain happens.
Correct. The gym is called a box, mainly because that's really what it is. There's no fancy TVs, there's no swimming pool. It is just a box, and that's where it all happens. And the first one was launched in 2008. When we started looking at this magazine last year in June, there were 60 in the country. There's now 120 in South Africa, and there's slated about 200 by the end of the year.
All right, so this is not your average Virgin Active or Planet Fitness.
No.
A very specific target market, as you say, is going to pick up this magazine. Is this a good bet for advertisers?
Look, it is niche. You mentioned it earlier. It's actually super niche. We're talking about not just fitness guys. We're talking about the CrossFit community, as well as people. There are other disciplines that believe in cross-functional training. So it's not only CrossFit that this will be open to, and the kind of advertisers. The guys that are backed it completely. Reebok is part of CrossFit around the world. Their equipment people, their clothing that is made specifically for CrossFit. So there are great opportunities for advertising.
I mean, there are opportunities. I'm just looking through this particular edition. A bit thin on advertising in edition 1, though.
It is new. Yeah. I mean, it is brand new. We had 1 or 2 loose copies from the American version. This is an American license that we've taken up, and it's growing around the world. We're the first country outside of America to launch The Box, but Australia is launching, and I think Turkey is launching next.
And you're confident you can sustain good content?
I hope so.
Yeah.
No, from a content point of view, definitely, because we pick up a certain percentage of content from the United States, and then we write local content from here. There are lots of events. There are a lot of new boxes. There are a lot of there's stuff on diet, exercise, general health kind of tips. So there will be a lot of content here.
All right, Seraj Toefy, you're not going to see me in the box, but I wish you well with the venture. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's Let's move on to something a little different now. The online retailer Amazon has announced it will be acquiring a leading digital comic book service called Comixology. Comixology, which was founded in 2007, offers graphic novels and comic books from various publishers. Readers can purchase these books and read them on iPhone, iPad or Android, among others. The service topping 200 million comic book downloads last year. All right, so you can see the international industry is thriving in that respect, but what about the local business? Well, we stopped by for a chat to some comic book fundis in Cape Town to get the inside scoop.
It's the best it's ever been. There are more comic books out at the moment being produced by independent people than they've ever been before. Also, we've had a couple of local guys get international publishing deals. Obviously, Hollywood helps. With every Avengers movie that makes all the money in the world, people realize that that was a comic book first, and that changes their perception of whether it's a waste of time and whether you can make a living off doing it or not.
If you had asked me 5 years ago, I would not have been able to show you a whole range of local and South African comics. Just not possible in the last few years. It's just been a huge sort of research in locally produced comics, especially from an independent side. A success story for South African comics would be Joe Daly's Red Monkey. This is actually published in the US by Fantagraphics. Fantagraphics is a well-respected independent publisher. They do all non-global corporate property comics. So they're like a catch-all for all the best independent stuff out there. And they picked up this book, given that no South African publisher wanted to touch his work, which is quite sad. So he's doing very well with them as well. And of course then we've got Nelson Mandela, an icon for South Africa. And it seemed only right that a biography of his life was being done. Also very well produced. It was done by, we've got a whole bunch of different South African artists. Mengelmoes is interesting. It's done by a local young Afrikaans guy. He actually relocated to the UK last year. His scene is very much animation, art, etc. A small publisher, Soaring Penguin Press, got hold of him. They liked what they saw when he did Mengelmoes. It's an autobiography of growing up in South Africa in the 1980s, early 90s. It is done in English, but it's very much Afrikaner based. If you read it, you will see what I mean.
Big problem is after you've got your comic book done, you still need to pay for the printing because there are no publishers. There's no support. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. There's zero support from South African publishers for comic books. They don't see any value or market or possibility of them making money out of it. And it's a perception thing. Their audience that they hope to sell the comic book to is in South Africa. And they seem to have forgotten that there's a whole world with hundreds of thousands of people that actually read comic books out there. So when they make their decision as to whether this comic book will sell, it's actually a decision, will it sell in South Africa? And the answer is always no. But they're not willing to explore other markets.
In light of this, Moray feels that local artists need to step away from the need to produce South African stories and rather focus on creating stories with a global appeal.
All over the world, anywhere, the purpose of a comic book should be to entertain. If you're not telling a decent story, if you're not getting some kind of message across in an entertaining way, then you've failed at your mission of doing a comic book.
This is Mags on Media. Coming up, how a hotel group has tailor-made a brand experience for its customers.
News that moves. enca.com.